So I want to make what I'm going to call a TBR slash TBD for the BookTube event Framed in September. So Framed in September is an event that focuses on the arts and reading about the arts and experiencing the arts. And the art in this event is defined fairly broadly. For a lot of people, when we say art, we think of the visual arts, especially probably painting and sculpture, but also perhaps architecture and some others. But for this event, art is defined quite broadly to include music and dance and even the theater and film. And the hosts encourage you to kind of define art in whatever way you want, right? Including things that might be more niche, right? Like street art or urban art, as it might be called, right? And other things. And photography. I've seen people talk about photography with regards to Framed in September. So it's a BookTube event focused on the arts. It's hosted by Elisabeth from Boucan's Books, by Greg from Another Bibliophile Reads, by Heather from Heather Gregg, and Hannah from Hannah's Books. And there are 2 prompts for this event, kind of motivating us all to read about the arts and experience the arts, and then there's a bonus prompt. All right, so I'll run down the prompts very quickly and then talk about what I'm going to do in response to each of them. So prompt number 1 is, surprisingly, given that it's a BookTube event, to read a book about art. And it can be fiction or it can be nonfiction. And again, you can define art as broadly as you want. So first, very simply, read a book, a fiction or nonfiction, about art. And obviously you can read more than one book, and I'm not even really sure that you are required to finish the book. I think for all these BookTube events, it's just, it's the effort that counts, at least starting it, putting in the effort. So read a book about art. The second prompt is to experience art, right? So it's not just to read about this stuff, but to go and try and experience art as a real living, breathing thing. And in parentheses, the host suggests a live performance or a museum or a gallery visit. And so I'm going to talk about what I'm going to do for both of these in a second. But there is one bonus prompt. So I get the sense that this is supposed to be optional. But the bonus prompt is to create art. Actually create art yourself. Or to tell everyone about a work of art that has special meaning for you. Okay, so these are I'm calling them 3 prompts because I'm doing all 3. So for the first prompt, for reading a book, I have a book in mind, and I've had it in mind for this event since I found it at a bookstore earlier this year, and I think it's perfect. It's this, How Do We Look by Mary Beard. I think it has a subtitle to it. It's How Do We Look? The Body, the Divine, and the Question of Civilization by Mary Beard. And so this is a book, it's a slim book. Mary Beard is more well known for SPQR, her History of Ancient Rome, and she's well known as a classicist, but this is an art history book, and it sounds like it's divided kind of into 2 parts. The first part of the book is about how the human figure has been depicted in art throughout the world. And part of the approach of this book, I get the sense, is to de-center Western art. And so she goes very far afield from the typical examples of art that you might see in discussions of art history, right? So the first part of it is a discussion of how the human figure has been portrayed in art forms, different art forms, and in art around the world. And then part 2 is about how the divine has been important, how the divine and religion has been important to the visual arts. Okay, so that sounds fascinating to me. I'm a little bit curious about how those 2 parts will be connected, because they sound to me like 2 different books, frankly. So it'll be interesting to see how they link up. But I found this in a used bookstore earlier this year, and I couldn't help myself. So I thought it would be a perfect read for Framed in September. And then for the second prompt, to experience art, I have one thing that I am definitely going to do and another possibility that I hope might happen, but I'm not entirely certain. So the first thing that I'm definitely going to do is go to the ArtsWestchester Gallery. So I live in Westchester County, New York. I live in White Plains specifically. And it's home to ArtsWestchester, which is a little building right down the street from where I live, which sometimes puts on little concerts, sometimes has little performances. I may consider looking out for some of those this month as well. But it also has a gallery. It has an art gallery. And I've been living in White Plains now for just about exactly a year, and I have yet to visit this gallery. So I will definitely do that. I will definitely go to ArtsWestchester and see the gallery. The second possibility for experiencing art is I may have reason to be going into New York City in September. And if I do, then in addition to the thing that brings me into the city, which will be job related, unfortunately, in addition to what I have to do there for that, I would like to try to make time to go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art again. I went to the Metropolitan Museum of Art several years ago now. It was pre-pandemic, so it was before 2020. And it kind of blew my mind. I was just stunned by the art there. It was just brilliant. But my visit was not ideal. My mom and I went. We didn't go at an ideal hour because it was not really... We went there at an hour where there wasn't really enough time for us to see everything. That's an issue you run into at art galleries, is that their opening hours are a little bit strange. And so we kind of were shepherded out of the museum because it was closing at the end. And so we didn't get to see everything we wanted to see. And so I would like to return and to see what I haven't seen there, and hopefully to re-experience some of the great art that I saw the first time. So I'm hoping that'll happen, but we will see. And then we have the last prompt, which is to create some art, or to tell everyone about a work of art that has special meaning to you. I am going to create some art, and specifically, this goes back to... I briefly mentioned earlier how you could consider photography, an art form. I think definitely it is an art form. And in the past year, something I haven't really brought up on my channel yet is that I kind of got into taking Polaroids. I have this Polaroid camera that I bought online. It's a very charming looking thing. It's a little bit more sophisticated than a lot of Polaroid cameras, because a lot of Polaroid cameras that you buy that are on the cheaper side, you snap the photo and it immediately prints. But in this one, I can take photos and choose which ones I want to print. And there are all sorts of different things you can do with it. You can add different filters and I don't think you can zoom, but you can do other things with it. So it's a fairly fancy Polaroid camera, but nonetheless, I've gotten into kind of taking Polaroids in the last year, and I might consider sharing some of the Polaroids that I've already taken. I can't necessarily share all of them just because they have, some of them are photos of my soon-to-be adopted nieces. And the thing is until my nieces are officially adopted, I can't show their likenesses in public places like YouTube. And a lot of the Polaroids that I've taken have been of them. So once they are finally officially adopted, I would love to show you my Polaroids of my nieces. But I have Polaroids of a lot of other things which I can show. But for Framed in September, I would like to take 15 Polaroids. 15 Polaroids, not necessarily Polaroids that I will print, but 15 Polaroids that I'm reasonably happy with. And then at the end of the month, I will print out the ones that I'm really happy with and show them off. Okay? So that's my plan. And then one other thing I wanted to do this month is some of the hosts have mentioned film as an art form. I mean, obviously, I very much consider film to be an art. And so what I want to do for this event as well is to watch a handful of films about painters. These are films that I have known about for a long time and that I've heard great things about, but just haven't ever gotten around to watching. And so the three films are Pollock, directed by Ed Harris and starring Ed Harris as Jackson Pollock. I am a major Jackson Pollock stan. I will defend him till my dying day, or defend his art, that is. I don't know about him as a person, but I will defend his art till my dying day. So this film is about Jackson Pollock and his personal life. The second film is one that I watched a part of a long time ago, but just kind of got drawn away from. I liked what I saw of it, but I just, again, got drawn away from it. And it's Loving Vincent, directed by Dorota, Kobiela, and Hugh Welchmann. This film is about Vincent van Gogh, and this film is particularly notable in that it is the first film ever that is a hand-painted animated film, and it's beautiful. It's visually beautiful. Again, I've seen parts of it, and it is just visually stunning. So I want to finish watching that. And then the last film that I'm going to watch about a painter is Mr. Turner, directed by Leigh, about J.M.W. Turner. I am a big fan of J.M.W. Turner, so I'm interested to learn more about his life as well. So those are my plans for Framed in September in terms of what I'm going to do. And I forgot to mention this, but the reason that I'm calling this a TBR/TBD, the TBD, normally TBD obviously stands for to be decided. I'm calling TBD as to be done for Framed in September. So that's that. And then the last TBD, the last to be done thing, is I would really like to kind of do a Framed in September vlog. So vlog my reading, vlog my Polaroid taking. I'm not sure I will be able to take videos inside either of the galleries, either the ArtsWestchester Gallery or the Met. In fact, I'm almost certain that at the Met they don't allow videos. But I'll definitely take photos and try to do something else vloggy with that. And even vlogging my experience with the films. Just maybe recording some thoughts on camera after watching each one. And then I'd like to string all those together into kind of a Framed in September vlog. One long, happy vlog. And hopefully it'll get posted by the end of September. I'm not sure. Who knows how long it's going to be. It might not get posted till October. But anyway, that's my hope. And so that's Framed in September. If you hadn't heard of this event, I sure hope that you will consider participating. But I assume that if you follow my channel, you probably follow the channels that are hosting the event and saw the announcement videos already. So that's that. But anyway, so I will leave it at that. Best of luck, everyone, with your TBRs or TBDs if you have them. And I'll talk to you all again soon. All right?